The skeletal remains of Blackwood Asylum stood stark against the gray sky, a monumental testament to forgotten pain and whispered urban legends. Its decaying facade, once a beacon of hope for the afflicted, now loomed as a silent, crumbling mausoleum, its windows like vacant eyes staring out at a world that had long since abandoned it. Dust motes danced in the sparse shafts of light that pierced the gloom, illuminating the debris of 100 forgotten lives. This was the hunting ground for Liam, a young urban explorer whose insatiable hunger for validation often bordered on recklessness. He thrived on the thrill of charting forgotten territories, of coaxing secrets from the silent stones of abandoned places. Blackwood, with its chilling reputation, was his ultimate prize. Liam moved with a practiced grace through the labyrinthine corridors, his flashlight beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of decay, mildew, and something else, a faint, almost metallic tang that spoke of old blood and fear. Each creak of the floorboards beneath his boots, each distant moan of the wind whistling through broken panes, served only to heighten his senses, pushing him deeper into the asylum's cold embrace. He had meticulously studied the old blueprints, memorized the layout of the crumbling wards, and charted the paths through the dusty, forgotten offices. Yet, as he navigated a particularly desolate wing, something snagged at his meticulous memory. A section of the wall, subtly different from its surroundings, drew his attention. The bricks here seemed to be of a slightly different hue, the mortar lines a fraction wider, almost imperceptibly so, but enough to register an anomaly in his trained eye. He ran a gloved hand over the rough surface, feeling the unevenness, the subtle discontinuity. The blueprints he carried, dog-eared and stained, showed nothing but a solid wall here, a dead end. His heart quickened, a familiar surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. This was it, the thrill of discovery, the promise of something hidden. He leaned closer, pressing his ear against the cold brick, listening intently. A faint, almost imperceptible draft brushed against his cheek, carrying with it a scent that was neither dust nor decay, but something strangely sterile, yet ancient. It was the smell of contained air, untouched for decades, a breath from a forgotten past. He shone his powerful flashlight along the wall, searching for the source of the subtle current. And then he saw it. A hairline crack, almost invisible to the naked eye, weaving its way horizontally across the seemingly solid surface. It was a mere whisper of a gap, yet it was enough to confirm his suspicion. Something lay beyond. A profound chill, entirely unrelated to the asylum's oppressive cold, snaked its way up Liam's spine. It was a sensation of being watched, of an inexplicable presence lingering just beyond his perception. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen weight, and the silence that had been merely profound now felt charged, expectant. He stood there, frozen for a moment, the hair on his arms prickling. This wasn't just another abandoned building. It was a place that held its secrets fiercely, a place where the echoes of past suffering seemed to cling to the very air. He knew, with an unsettling certainty, that he was on the cusp of uncovering something far more significant, far more unsettling than any urban legend could convey. The wall beckoned, a silent challenge, promising revelation, and perhaps something darker still. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Liam's mind raced, fueled by the intoxicating blend of fear and exhilaration. He retrieved a small, sturdy crowbar from his backpack, its cold steel a reassuring weight in his hand. The hairline crack, once a mere suggestion, now seemed to pulsate with unspoken secrets. He carefully inserted the tip of the crowbar, testing the resistance, feeling for any give. The mortar, though ancient, held firm. He applied more pressure, gritting his teeth, the muscles in his arms straining. With a sudden jarring crack, a small section of brick dislodged, falling with a muffled thud onto the dusty floor. A puff of incredibly stale air, thick and metallic, escaped from the newly created aperture, sending a shiver down his spine. He worked methodically, prying at the fragile mortar, gradually widening the breach. Each loosened brick revealed more of the hidden space beyond. a darkness deeper than any he had encountered in the asylum's exposed ruins. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of strenuous effort, a section of the wall large enough to squeeze through gave way. He peered into the gloom, his flashlight beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. What he saw made his breath catch in his throat. Beyond the crumbled masonry lay not a dusty, decaying storage room, but a small, perfectly preserved chamber, untouched by the ravages of time and neglect that had devoured the rest of Blackwood. The air within, though heavy, lacked the pervasive stench of decay. It was as if this tiny space existed in a different dimension, a pocket of stillness amidst the chaos. The room was sparsely furnished, yet each item spoke of a deliberate, almost reverent placement. In the center, dominating the space, stood an ornate wooden desk, its dark surface gleaming faintly under Liam's flashlight. Beside it, a high-backed, velvet-upholstered chair, surprisingly intact, seemed to invite occupancy. The desk was meticulously organized, a stark contrast to the surrounding dereliction. Upon its polished surface lay a single, leather-bound diary, its cover faded and worn, but still exuding an aura of importance. Faint, elegant script was embossed on its spine, too obscured by time to be immediately legible. Liam stepped cautiously into the room, his boots making no sound on the thick, undisturbed dust that coated the floor. He approached the desk with a reverence he hadn't known he possessed. His fingers trembled slightly as he reached for the diary. The leather was supple, surprisingly soft beneath his touch, a testament to its protected existence. He carefully opened the cover, the pages emitting a faint, almost sweet, musty aroma. The first page bore a meticulously penned inscription, Dr. Eleanor Vance. The name resonated with a forgotten echo in the annals of Blackwood Asylum, a brilliant but troubled physician whose abrupt disappearance had fueled local legends. Liam turned the page, his eyes scanning the elegant, flowing script. Eleanor's initial entries spoke of profound dedication, a burning desire to alleviate suffering, and an almost revolutionary optimism regarding the potential for new treatments. She wrote of her patients with a deep empathy, detailing their individual struggles and her unwavering commitment to their recovery. Her words painted a picture of a compassionate healer, a beacon of hope in a place often associated with despair. But as Liam delved deeper into the diary, a subtle shift in tone became apparent. The entries grew shorter, the handwriting more hurried, almost frantic. The early optimism began to fray, replaced by an undercurrent of frustration and eventually a growing sense of unease. He read of ethical compromises, veiled references to unconventional methods, and then, chillingly, the first oblique mention of secret experiments. Eleanor's language became increasingly guarded, hinting at a hidden agenda, a desperate pursuit that transcended the conventional boundaries of medical practice. A cold dread began to settle in Liam's stomach. The sanctity of the preserved room now felt less like a sanctuary and more like a carefully constructed tomb, holding not just memories, but a dark, unsettling truth. Liam's fingers traced the increasingly erratic lines of Dr. Vance's script, a silent witness to her accelerating descent. The diary, once a testament to hope, now screamed with a chilling desperation. He turned another page, the musty scent of aged paper filling his nostrils, and found himself confronted with the grim reality of Eleanor's obsession. Her entries spoke less of general patient welfare and more of a singular consuming focus. An unknown ailment, a condition so profound it seemed to defy all conventional understanding. This was the genesis of her radical approaches, her desperate attempts to unravel a medical mystery that had gripped her completely. Then, the name appeared stark and unsettling. Patient X. This was the enigmatic figure whose suffering had so profoundly affected Eleanor, driving her beyond the established norms of medical ethics. The entries surrounding Patient X were a whirlwind of scientific theories, feverish observations, and increasingly dark philosophical musings. Eleanor documented her initial meticulous research, her tireless hours spent poring over obscure texts, seeking any glimmer of insight into Patient X's unique affliction. But as weeks turned into months, a subtle shift occurred. The clinical detachment began to erode, replaced by an emotional intensity that pulsed from every word. The diary became a window into Eleanor's increasing isolation. Her handwriting, once elegant and controlled, now frequently dissolved into frantic scrawls, words underlined multiple times, margins filled with agitated notes. She wrote of colleagues, once supportive, now dismissing her theories as outlandish, her methods as dangerous. "They cannot see," one entry read, the ink almost tearing the page. "They are blinded by convention, by fear. But I must see. For patient X." The sense of betrayal was palpable, a raw wound festering within her. She felt herself an outcast, a lone warrior battling an invisible enemy, her only solace the silent pages of her journal and the presence of her mysterious patient. Driven by this profound sense of alienation and an unwavering, almost pathological devotion to patient X, Eleanor began to turn to forbidden practices. The diary entries became cryptic, filled with coded language and veiled allusions to procedures that clearly transcended the boundaries of accepted medical science. Her conscience, once so robust, seemed to wither under the relentless pressure of her singular goal. She justified each ethical compromise, each transgressive experiment, with the desperate plea that it was for the greater good of patient X, a twisted sense of love guiding her hand. The line between healer and transgressor blurred until it vanished entirely. Liam felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach as he read, the air in the hidden room growing heavy with the weight of Eleanor's tortured soul. He imagined her, alone in this very room, scribbling these confessions in the dead of night, her mind a tempest of brilliance and despair. The brilliance that had once promised revolutionary cures had now curdled into something darker, something dangerous. The passion that fueled her research had morphed into an obsession, a desperate, almost unhinged pursuit that seemed to consume her every waking moment. Then came the chilling entry, dated weeks before the asylum's abrupt closure. It was short, almost terse, yet it resonated with an ominous finality that sent shivers down Liam's spine. "The final procedure," Eleanor had written, her hand remarkably steady for such a momentous declaration. "It is the only path left, salvation or damnation, for both of us." The words hung in the air, a silent prophecy of either a miraculous cure or an irreversible catastrophe. Liam stared at the page, his breath held captive in his chest, knowing that the true horror of Blackwood Asylum and of Dr. Eleanor Vance's legacy was only just beginning to unfold. He had stumbled not just upon a hidden room, but into the very heart of a profound, tragic secret. Liam's gaze lingered on the stark finality of Eleanor's words, a chill seeping into his bones that had nothing to do with the asylum's decaying structure. His fingers, still trembling slightly, moved away from the diary, his attention drawn to a subtle anomaly in the ornate desk's design. A small, almost imperceptible seam ran along the side, camouflaged by intricate carvings. With a gentle push, a hidden compartment clicked open, revealing its long-concealed contents. Inside lay a collection of faded, sepia-toned photographs and a small, tarnished silver locket. Liam carefully extracted them, his heart pounding with a mixture of dread and anticipation. The photographs depicted Eleanor, not as the tormented doctor of the diary, but as a younger woman, her eyes bright with a joy that seemed entirely foreign to her later entries. Beside her, in each image, stood another woman, strikingly similar in features, with the same luminous eyes and a gentle smile. Their poses were intimate, affectionate, far from the formal distance between doctor and patient. They embraced, they laughed, they shared quiet moments, their connection undeniable. This was not a professional relationship. This was love, pure and profound. His fingers brushed the locket. It was cool against his skin, its surface dulled by time. With a delicate flick, he opened it, revealing two miniature portraits. One was Eleanor's, her youthful face gazing out with a serene expression. The other, nestled opposite, was a tiny lock of dark, lustrous hair, carefully preserved. It was a tangible piece of the woman in the photographs, a silent testament to a bond that transcended mere friendship. A sudden, jarring realization crashed over Liam, a revelation that recontextualized everything he had read. The woman in the photographs, the one whose hair lay preserved in the locket, was Patient X. It wasn't just a clinical designation. It was a desperate attempt to dehumanize, to distance, the object of Eleanor's profound affection. Patient X was Eleanor's beloved sister, suffering from an incurable disfiguring illness that had slowly, relentlessly stolen her vitality. The diary's veiled references to suffering, the desperate search for a cure, the unwavering devotion, they were not born of a doctor's professional duty, but a sister's agonizing love. Eleanor's motivations, once shrouded in the disturbing ambiguity of a mad scientist, now crystallized into a heartbreaking narrative of familial devotion. Her ambition wasn't solely for medical glory, but a desperate, almost primal urge to save her own blood, to reclaim the vibrant life that was being cruelly snatched away. She wasn't just attempting to cure an ailment, she was fighting for her sister's very existence, against a fate that seemed predetermined and merciless. The betrayal by her colleagues, the dismissal of her radical approaches, these weren't just professional slights, but personal assaults on her last hope, her only chance to salvage what remained of her family. Liam felt a profound ache in his chest, a deep empathy for Eleanor's impossible plight. He understood now the horrific lengths she had gone to, the ethical boundaries she had shattered. It wasn't madness that drove her. It was a love so fierce, so consuming, that it warped her perception of right and wrong. It was a desperate attempt to exact revenge against fate itself, to deny the inevitable, to defy the very laws of nature for the sake of the one person she cherished above all others. The hidden room, once a chilling testament to scientific hubris, now felt like a desperate shrine, a monument to a love that refused to surrender, even in the face of insurmountable odds. The final procedure, the salvation or damnation. It wasn't just about Patient X. It was about Eleanor's own soul, deeply intertwined with her sister's destiny. The weight of her tragic secret settled heavily upon Liam, urging him onward to uncover the full extent of this heartbreaking saga. The weight of Eleanor's tragic secret settled heavily upon Liam, urging him onward to uncover the full extent of this heartbreaking saga. His eyes returned to the diary, a single final entry catching his attention, scribbled in a hand that was surprisingly clear, almost serene, amidst the previous chaos. It wasn't a scientific notation, nor a desperate plea, but a cryptic directive, a set of almost poetic instructions describing a specific alignment of symbols on the room's far wall, a sequence that would reveal something more. Liam moved with a renewed sense of purpose, his gaze sweeping the hidden room, searching for the intricate carvings Eleanor had described. His fingers traced the cold stone, following the subtle undulations until he found the specific pattern. With a gentle push and a twist of a barely visible mechanism, a section of the wall receded with a soft hiss of displaced air, revealing a darkened alcove. Inside, bathed in the faint light filtering from the main room, stood a sealed glass chamber, previously obscured by the clever architectural design. It was a masterpiece of clandestine engineering, designed to remain hidden, its contents preserved in silent vigil. Liam approached the chamber slowly, his breath catching in his throat. Inside, suspended in a translucent amber-colored fluid, was a figure. It was Patient X, Eleanor's sister, preserved in a state of suspended animation, almost lifelike in her stillness. Her features, though softened by the fluid, showed the signs of the disfiguring illness Eleanor had fought so desperately to conquer, yet there was a serene, almost peaceful expression on her face, as if she were merely sleeping, awaiting a gentle awakening. The sight was both horrifying and profoundly beautiful, a testament to Eleanor's unwavering love and scientific prowess. Affixed to the outside of the glass, a single, tear-stained note, already brittle with age, lay pressed against the surface. Liam carefully peeled it away, his eyes scanning Eleanor's familiar script. "My dearest sister," it began, "I tried with every fiber of my being. This is not a failure but a pause, a promise. I have given everything, even myself, to ensure your future. The cure eluded me in life, but I leave you this, my final hope, my ultimate sacrifice. My own body now holds the key, the final piece of the puzzle I could not solve in time. May science, in a kinder future, unlock what I could not. The words struck Liam with the force of a physical blow. Eleanor's ultimate sacrifice. Her own body. The chilling realization dawned on him, a horrifying culmination of all the tragic events. Eleanor hadn't just experimented on others. She had turned her brilliance, her desperation, and her love inward. She herself became a test subject, seeking to perfect her sister's cure within her own being, pushing the boundaries of medical ethics and self-preservation to their absolute limit. The asylum's abrupt closure, her disappearance, it all made a terrible, heartbreaking sense. She hadn't vanished. She had become part of her grand, tragic experiment, a living testament to her unwavering devotion. Liam stared at patient X, then at Eleanor's note, the weight of the truth pressing down on him. He was faced with an ethical dilemma of monumental proportions. Here, preserved before him, was not just a medical marvel, but a profound human tragedy, a story of love and sacrifice unlike any he had ever encountered. Should he expose this dark secret to the world, potentially shattering a fragile peace and inviting exploitation? Or should he honor Eleanor's tragic legacy, protecting the final desperate hope she had clung to with her dying breath? The hidden room, once a place of morbid curiosity, had become a crucible for his own conscience. Liam's mind reeled, a vortex of emotional turmoil swirling within him as he grappled with the monumental weight of Eleanor's story. Her desperate act of love, born from an unyielding devotion to her sister, resonated deeply within his own often reckless heart. The sterile air of the hidden room now felt charged with the echoes of her sacrifice, each silent moment a testament to the unimaginable lengths she had gone to. He envisioned the world's reaction to patient X, to this preserved miracle of science and sorrow. Would they see the love, the desperate hope, or merely another specimen to dissect, another curiosity to exploit for fame or profit? The thought of her sister, Eleanor's ultimate act of faith, becoming a spectacle filled him with a profound unease. He understood the scientific significance, the medical breakthroughs that could potentially arise, but at what cost to the dignity of a woman whose only crime was being loved too fiercely? A flicker of empathy, something beyond his usual thrill-seeking pursuits, ignited within him. He began to see Eleanor not as a mad doctor, but as a woman consumed by grief and an unwavering commitment to her family. Her desire to overcome the impossible, to defy the natural order for the sake of her sister, mirrored a universal human struggle against helplessness. It was a dark, twisted path she had chosen, certainly, but one paved with a love so pure, so potent, that it transcended conventional morality. Liam, who often sought validation in external thrills, found himself looking inward, connecting with the raw, vulnerable core of Eleanor's humanity. Her story was a mirror, reflecting the complexities of love, loss, and the desperate yearning for control over an uncontrollable fate. His gaze drifted from the tear-stained note to the serene face of patient X, suspended in her amber prison. He thought of Eleanor, likely interred in some forgotten asylum grave, her final act a desperate gamble on a future she would never see. He made his choice not out of fear, but out of a newfound respect for the human spirit and the intricate, often agonizing dance between love and loss. The world was not ready for patient X, and perhaps it never would be. The exploitation, the sensationalism, the potential desecration of Eleanor's profound sacrifice. It was a path he could not, would not open. With a heavy but resolute heart, Liam carefully folded Eleanor's note, tucking it into his pocket as a silent vow. He then turned his attention to the glass chamber, his fingers tracing the cold surface. He could not undo what Eleanor had done, nor could he revive the past, but he could protect the fragile legacy she had entrusted to time. He searched the room, his eyes falling upon a small, ornate silver key lying almost hidden beneath the desk. It was the key to the hidden mechanism that sealed the wall. Taking a deep breath, Liam began the painstaking process of resealing the hidden room. He methodically reversed the sequence of symbols, the section of wall sliding back into place with a soft, almost imperceptible click. He then used the silver key, turning it until a faint, metallic thud resonated, locking the secret away once more. Before he left, He placed a single, withered rose, found forgotten in a dusty corner, atop the spot where the seam of the hidden door met the wall. It was a symbolic gesture, a quiet tribute to Eleanor Vance, a testament to understanding and respect. Liam left the hidden room, his footsteps echoing softly in the abandoned asylum. He did not look back. The secrets of Blackwood Asylum remained, protected, but its story, for Liam, was forever changed. He carried Eleanor's truth within him, a silent guardian of a love that defied death, a testament to the profound and often tragic beauty of the human heart. The world outside remained oblivious, but in the desolate corridors of Blackwood, a story of ultimate sacrifice had found its quiet, respectful ending.